Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam maghrib, salam sejahtera dan terima kasih kepada anda yang terus bersama kami di Best 104 Sensasi Selatan. Dan seperti yang diwar-warkan, jika saat ini kita bersama temu bual eksklusif bersama dengan Mr. Paul Jones, Duta Besar Amerika Syarikat ke Malaysia dalam rangka lawatan ke negeri Johor Darul Takzim. Dan bersama untuk temu bual eksklusif ini kita ada Encik Abdul Rahim Rahman. Silakan Encik Abdul Rahim.
Terima kasih Azhar.
Ya, sama.
Assalamualaikum, good afternoon. Please don't change that dial, because we are still listening to Best 105. And of course, today we are very honored and very happy to have the presence of His Excellency, the United States of Ambassador to Malaysia, Paul W. Jones. Hi sir, how are you?
Very well, terima kasih Rahim. Selamat petang. Apa kabar Johor?
Oh, selamat petang.
Johor
baik. Johor baik. Nicely said. You know, can't tell the difference. Can't tell the difference between a Malaysian and an American. Okay.
Thank you for the compliment. Saya sangat gembira melawat Johor.
Well done, and we're very happy. Kami sangat gembira menerima lawatan daripada Tuan Yang Terutama Mr. Paul Jones, of course, Duta Besar Amerika Syarikat ke Malaysia. Now, we just want to welcome you to the state of Johor, and of course, welcome you to Best 104 here in the beautiful city of Johor Bahru. And you arrived this morning, and how's the impression on Johor been so far?
Wonderful visit so far. I'm going to be here today and all day tomorrow, and already I've seen some of the development taking place, the new outlet mall that's going up in the Iskandar development area. Had the great honor of having lunch with His Royal Highness the Sultan and the Chief Minister and several of the leading members of the government. And this afternoon we've got some other interesting things planned. So having a great time so far. Thank you, Rahim.
Wonderful. Okay, before we speak further about all your events that's coming up this afternoon, now I read in a newspaper that you mentioned that US President Obama and Secretary Clinton had encouraged you to harmonize the relations by having conversations and engagements with all parties, unquote. Now, how's that been so far? I've noticed that you've been busy traveling to a few states in Malaysia. Maybe you can elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah, I've tried my best to meet everyone I can in Kuala Lumpur, but also travel out to all of Malaysia's states. I'm not quite there yet, but I've been here in Malaysia for 8 months now, and been several times to several different states. It's my first time to Johor, but 10 days ago I was in Kelantan. Before that I've been in Sabah a few times, Sarawak, Penang, Terengganu, Pahang. I'm looking to get everywhere. And just like you said, President Obama and Secretary Clinton want their ambassadors to listen, to understand the perspectives in the government, but also among young people and in business communities and in civil society. So I'm here to listen and project that back to America.
Okay, and so far what have you listened when it comes to those people that you mentioned?
What I find striking is that Malaysia, it's a very diverse country for a country that's not so big territorially. What you hear in the perspectives in Kelantan versus Sarawak, Sabah, all these different places is different, has one whole. But I think I'm also struck that, as Secretary Clinton noticed when she was here, the conversation here is very vibrant about issues that matter around the world. And I think Malaysia has been underappreciated in the United States. And I think when we start hearing and we start connecting people so that they can hear the conversations that are happening here on all sorts of issues, it's very useful for us back in America.
Okay, that's great. And now, which areas do you think that Johor, because since you mentioned that each state project different types of conversation, which areas that Johor could play to strengthen ties between US and Malaysia? Which area do you think that we should cover?
Yeah, well, I think we have a good foundation to build on in our relationship here in Johor. One area is education. We're very delighted that just this year, just a few months ago, we began a program here in Johor that we've done elsewhere around the world, which is to provide after-school English language teaching to secondary school students. So this is a program we call Access. And we call it Access because it provides opportunities for students who would not otherwise have so many opportunities to learn English, but with that English, they can then apply for exchange programs. They can get better jobs, particularly in some of the industries that are coming now to Johor. So that's one great partnership I think we're very proud of. We have business, the business relationship is strong and growing with the development of the Iskandar region. And we are very excited that some of the best American brands are going to be available right here in Johor at the Prime Outlet Mall. I just went over this morning and saw it's going to be done in November.
So you've been to Iskandar, yeah?
Yes.
So what do you think of Iskandar, Malaysia?
It's a brilliant idea that I am struck had not been taken advantage of earlier. I mean, I'm talking right now about the outlet mall that will be there, because this sort of outlet mall is all over the United States. It isn't in Southeast Asia yet. This will be the very first mall of its kind in Southeast Asia, where you can go and get the best brands from the United States at a cheaper price, and all in one location. And then the plans are really quite impressive for Iskandar region overall.
Okay, that's very important. A cheaper price. That is, I think that what attracts people more.
Exactly.
So, anyway, mentioning about Iskandar Malaysia, do you think we are doing enough to attract investors to come to Iskandar Malaysia, or should there be any other areas that we need to work on in order to attract the foreign investors to come in?
You know, I think one of the things that strikes me is investment needs to go in both directions. You know, Malaysia itself invests quite a bit overseas. I think the company that has brought the Prime Outlet Mall to Iskandar is Genting. Genting is a very important investor in the United States and brings American investment here. So one of the things that I try to look at is, can we build those partnerships for investments in both directions? I don't know. I don't want to comment on what other areas are most promising in investment, because that's a lot of a business relationship. But what I try to encourage is for people to look in both directions.
Okay, on a different note, I've noticed that in a few of the articles that I've read, you seem to be keen in the conservation work. You were in Sarawak, for that matter, and of course this afternoon later at Pasada Johor, there will be also another event with the Johor Wildlife Departments. Can you tell us a bit about that and your interest in conservation?
Yeah, well, my personal interest goes back to when I was a child. We worked in my community just north of New York City on cleaning up the Hudson River, major river in New York that was so polluted that people were afraid it would catch fire. It is now a river that you can swim in. And then the Bronx Zoo is the zoo in New York, which is, people sometimes, zoos have a bad name. The Bronx Zoo is a place of research and conservation. The Wildlife Conservation Society, that is the partner here in Johor, is the manager of the Bronx Zoo. And this afternoon we will give yet another grant from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service to the Wildlife Conservation Society Malaysia to help with tiger preservation. We've done a lot of work over the years in helping Johor and Malaysia with tiger conservation and Asian elephant preservation. And a lot of very interesting work is being done here, Rahim, that we can learn from in other places. And so it's a great partnership.
Okay, that's good. So are those the areas that you would like to see develop in terms of when it comes to U.S. and Malaysia relations, conservation?
I think conservation is, we recognize that Malaysia has some of the most biodiverse regions in the entire world, whether you're talking about the Coral Triangle area off of Sabah, or the forests of Sabah, Sarawak, or the tigers and elephants of Johor. Malaysia has some very special animals, flora, fauna, where they aren't anymore in other areas. So we want to work to preserve them. I think science and technology is another area, and we are working President Obama, as he outlined in his Cairo speech, he said, we really want to work more closely in science and technology. He appointed a science advisor for Malaysia, very eminent American scientist, who actually will meet the Prime Minister when he's in New York next week. And she's going to travel out here in a couple of months to Malaysia. There may be opportunities in Johor as well for linking up science and technology. I know you're very focused here on education, and there may be opportunities there.
Okay, looking forward to that visit. Okay, now about I'm still interested in talking about the conservation. Have you been to any national park here in Malaysia?
I've been to in Sabah. I went to the Danam Valley, original rainforest, an amazing experience for me. My mother came and visited, and she turned 82 years old in the Danam Valley as we were going out and exploring and learning about the rainforest with my children. I have a 14-year-old daughter and an 11-year-old son, my wife. And we also went to the Kinabataan River, saw all sorts of amazing wildlife. But what I want to do is to explore the very famous park here, Endau Rompin Park, which I haven't done yet, but I hope to be able to do.
Okay, we hope that you'll get a chance to go to Endau Rompin. It's a beautiful place to be. Of course, you'll be amazed with all the floras and faunas and all the living creatures inside the Endau Rompin National Park. Right, that's a bit of a explanation about the conservation, and of course that's coming up later this afternoon at Persada, the grant for the Johor Wildlife Department, and also later we have you'll be at the Plaza Pelangi for the Access English Micro Scholarship students in Johor. So can you tell us a bit about this program?
Well, this is, so we have, so there are 60 students here in Johor that are beneficiaries just starting this year. They'll have 2 years of after-school English language in addition to what they get during school. And what we found, we've done this program in a couple of other places in Kuala Lumpur. We're starting it in Penang. We have it in nations. And what it does is it does not only helps people with their English language, it's a cultural enrichment program. So we from the embassy create a special relationship with these students. And so we'll have people from our embassy in touch with them, visiting here, special connections which give the appreciation, the cultural appreciation, and also gives them, we hope, the incentive, the enthusiasm to really take their English to another level, which I think opens opportunities for them and certainly a lot of enjoyment.
Okay, that's great. It's wonderful things that you do here in Malaysia. Thank you anyway. So we're going to play a song after this. It's a keroncong song. Are you familiar with keroncong?
I'm learning.
Okay, keroncong is very popular here in Johor. Of course, favoured by the royalties of Johor.
Yes.
In fact, Best 104 is the only radio station in Malaysia to have a 4-hour program on keroncong music itself. So we're going to play a keroncong song titled